Today's podcast is brought to you by the Monkey Method app. This is an app brought to you by Power Monkey, and what we've done with this app is really exciting. We're really proud of it. Something we've been working on for a number of years. It basically allows for skill development plans to be put into place in one easy to follow along format. We have over 1,200 videos in there that are free to access. Even if you don't buy one of the plans, they're always there in the palm of your hand, very easily accessible technique videos. Along with that, we have a bunch of gymnastics and weightlifting plans in there that are all assessment based. So it's not a one size fits all plan. You can go in there, do the assessment, and figure out what category, what level you are based in according to what your starting point looks like. You'll have a tailored program, something that's a little bit more individualized. I'm really proud of it and hope you guys take advantage of it. Hey everyone, on today's episode, Chad and I interview Kenny Santucci. Kenny is probably most well known for his role as one of the contestants on the MTV show The Challenge, but he's also one of the top strength and conditioning coaches in all of New York City. Kenny is a Jersey boy, born and bred, and has some incredible insight into the fitness world, the fitness landscape in New York City. He is also the founder of Strong New York, which is an incredible bringing together of great fitness minds in New York. He's been doing it for the past 5 years or so. We go into some really kind of timely issues with COVID going on in New York City, being hit as hard as it has been, and how Kenny has translated his fitness training with his clients now that he can't be in a gym on a regular basis. I think you get some really interesting pieces and insight into what it's like to be a trainer in the biggest city in the U.S. And Kenny is very animated, great guy, and we hope you guys enjoy the episode. All right, so we are back with another Power Monkey podcast, and we are here with the one and only Mr. Beautiful Kenny Santucci. Kenny, thank you for the time, man. You are in a very unique situation out in New York City right now, and we appreciate you taking the time to jump on with me and Chad.
No, thank you guys for having me. I mean, like I always say, it's just such an honor to connect with you guys and learn from you guys and get to hang out with you guys from time to time. So.
Well, I appreciate that, man. And, we love having you as part of our team and part of our community when it comes to our camp and our events and stuff. But, with everything going on right now, with all of our guests, we're just trying to get a little bit of an idea of where you're at, what's going on with, you specifically being in New York City, kind of in the heart of a lot of what's going on. I just want to get kind of a little bit of a heartbeat, what you're seeing on a regular basis on the streets, in the fitness world, kind of what you're dealing with on a regular basis right now with all going on.
If somebody would have asked me or said to me 5 years ago, it's like, oh, hey, do you know what anxiety feels like? I feel like that's something like soft people have. I don't have anxiety. I'll tell you what, every day here in New York, since the whole COVID situation, and then now the whole situation that's going on right now, it's scary. It's scary to think that at any moment, life as we know it is just like constantly changing, right? Nothing feels normal. Nothing feels in place anymore. I mean, not that it ever did before. I like chaos. I thrive in the chaos. I don't like having the same day to day all the time. I kind of got into the fitness world because I don't like conventional work. I don't want to show up to a desk and do the same thing every day and work on the same things every day. I like working with different people. I love New York. I love the hustle and bustle. But this is definitely wearing on me for sure. Rewind the clock back 3-4 months, we're at Power Monkey Camp and things felt normal. Not Power Monkey Camp, Wadapalooza, and things started to get a little weird around that time. I was actually talking to Meg Ellery last night, and we were saying how we would have never guessed that this is what life would be like, fast forward 5-6 months down the road. When I walk outside, I remember 3 months ago walking outside and being like, man, I love this city. It's so sad to see it shut down. Nobody's around. Even at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning when I'd be going to work, the city would be quiet, but there's still life there, right? There's still garbage on the ground and homeless people walking around. And come COVID, there was no one around. It was almost like aliens had abducted everyone. Fast forward a couple months later, and now everything's boarded up. New York City is just in shambles right now because every restaurant, every bar, every store is boarded up because it's like a hurricane came through here and people just destroyed everything. So it's sad. It went from like this lonely world where no one was. They talked about 500,000 of the wealthiest New Yorkers just leaving town, and I was here ever since. I haven't left. I went out to Jersey a couple of times on the weekends, but I've been here the whole time. So it's been a lot. I've seen a lot, and I think the only thing we're missing from this is aliens coming down and pretty much just it's going to be a full-on war. I mean, 4th of July is right around the corner, so I feel like Independence Day is definitely a strong possibility for sure.
Yeah. It's just an absolutely crazy time, and you mentioned staying in New York through everything, but if we can rewind a little bit and just kind of give people some perspective on why you care about that city and that area so much. You're a Jersey boy. You grew up very, very close to New York City. Can you give us a little bit of a rundown of how you got into fitness and what took you to New York City, why you decided to stay in that area, and just a little bit of your background as to how you became the fitness icon that you are today?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a stretch, but I'll take it. But growing up in New Jersey, right across the river, I grew up I went to high school in Jersey City. I grew up in Newark, New Jersey. And right in the shadows of New York, we're right there. I mean, I used to, if I slept in the morning on the train ride from my house to Jersey City, I would wind up at the World Trade Center. That's the train I would take to school every day from the time I was 14 years old to the time I was 18. And it was cool to always come here for Yankee parades and, come in and sneak drinks with my friends in Little Italy and stuff like that. So it's always felt like home. But I always felt, as somebody from Jersey, I'm like, Jersey's not as dirty as New York. So that's why, I get the best of both worlds. I get to live in New Jersey, close enough to New York, and bounce back and forth when I wanted to. And then I'd say, God, 12 years ago now, I moved here. I was dating a girl, and I moved here for her. And things just started to happen. And I discovered this world of fitness and stuff. But for me, growing up, I was fat. I was a fat kid. I didn't have any real discipline when it came to working out or life or anything like that. So coming here and diving into this world and falling in love with it in a way, because it kept me accountable, and like my clients keep me accountable. And I felt very attached to it. So for me to leave when I felt like my city needs me the most, I'm like, no, I got to stay. I gotta hang out here. But for me, yeah, it was just a snowball effect of like falling in love with every aspect of it. There was points when I live here in New York and I just love walking around. Sometimes when people are around, when people aren't around, and there's just an energy and a vibe to New York that doesn't exist anywhere else. I all through my 20s, I got to travel, doing the show and stuff. So I got to go everywhere and anywhere. And New York always just felt like home. So I stayed and started to kind of cultivate this community after I left Solace of people who, I was under the impression I've seen these people every day. I hadn't gotten COVID. They haven't gotten it. We were all staying here in New York. There was like 10 of us. And I was like, all right, well, instead of you guys working out at your apartment, why don't we just go to the park and we'll start doing workouts and stuff. So that kind of kept me here, my clients and a lot of the people that kind of relied on me for that mental and emotional and physical kind of release that they needed. And I needed it too. I didn't want to go home. I could have went back to my mom's house, and I was scared for her because she's 70 years old now. And I didn't want to get her sick. So I'm like, all right, I'm better off here. My brother's got kids. My sister's got kids. So I'm like, all right, I'll just stay here. I'll hold it down. I'll, make workouts in the park, and I'll keep people sane. And it, 5 people went to 10, 10 went to 20. And now it's, I'm building a new schedule right now in New York of teaching, 4, 5, 6 times a day. So.
Yeah, that's awesome, Kenny. And you mentioned the show in there, and I just want to confirm that you're talking about what you're very well known for is being on MTV reality show. Was that called The Challenge? I
Yeah.
can't remember. That was exactly called The
Yeah.
Challenge, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was on it, oh, sorry. Yeah, no, when I was on it, it was called the Real World Road Rules Challenge. Now it's just the challenge. But yeah,
Cool.
did that for about 9 years, 10 years, something like that.
That's awesome. And I got a few questions on that, but the first one is, if somebody called you up and asked you right now to be on another reality TV show, would you do it?
It's funny because I got reached out to about a month and a half ago. This woman slid into my DMs and was asking me if I wanted to be on The Bachelorette. And I go, I don't know. It's like, it's just,
Yeah.
it's just not my idea of, what I loved about the challenge was that I got to go on there. And at the time I got on, I was 21 years old, 22 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I was a college wrestler, going from college wrestling into it now a sport, quote unquote, where I could compete for money, right? So I have always competed for the glory of it, for the love of it. And now they're like, well, listen, you could come on the show and you could win $250,000. I didn't even know I could make that much money in a day. And I was like, I could go on there. And I was like, unless some other D1 wrestler or some crazy D1 football player shows up, I got a pretty good shot of winning this thing. So when I got on, I was like, all right, I'm competing for money. When somebody asked me to be on The Bachelorette, I'm like, so I'm going to live in a house with 30 other guys and we're all going to try to fight over the same chick? No, I'm all right.
Yeah.
So she had asked me a couple times and I go, well, listen, I was like, I'd be interested if I could be on The Bachelor. And she's like, well, do you want to be a contestant on The Bachelor? I go, and date a guy? No, I'm all right. I was like, no, I want to be The Bachelor.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, it doesn't work like that. I go, didn't the show start with The Bachelor? It wasn't like Joe Millionaire or some bullshit like that where, it was a guy. I was like, I want to live in a house where it's all women. And, and she's like, it doesn't work like that. So I said, all right. I was like, well, if you could put me on The Bachelor and I could live in a house with the girls and the guy lives somewhere else, that's cool too. So we just went back and forth a couple of times. I was like, listen, I don't mind, kind of chatting about the idea. I was like, but it's just not something I really want to do. But then I look, here's the crazy part. And I posted it probably 2 or 3 times. Andrew Schwartz, I think his name is, the comedian, put up a thing about no one really needing to be good at anything these days. Like what I admire and love about you guys is you're accomplished athletes, right? You guys have done something. You guys have worked your way up to the top. He talks about how Trump doesn't really have any of the skills to be a great president, right? And he was talking about Tekashi 6ix9ine, this rapper. You guys probably don't even know who the hell he is. I didn't know who the fuck he was either when he was talking about him. And he was saying how it's just all about clout now. It's just like who makes the most noise becomes the most relevant person. And, I watch a lot of these people come off these shows and they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. They have all these followers. They have all this opportunity thrown their way just because they were on a reality show. When I was on reality television was looked at as like a joke. You weren't a real celebrity. And now it's like, I feel like after the Jersey Shore and because of social media, people now get an insight into who you actually are and what you're doing. And, you could easily tap into these people who get these huge followings. So that's the only reason I actually even entertain the idea a little bit. But again, I like the idea of competing. I'd like to see how I could still do at 37. The last show I did, I was probably 27, 28 years old. So 10 years ago. Competing for the false love of some other attention or on television like myself. It's not the show I'd like to do, but I mean, there's money to be made there and there's opportunity there. So I don't completely shit on the idea, but I definitely do shit on the idea for sure.
Man, Kenny, I'd like to see you on another show. That's for sure. You said, I think you were 27 when you were still doing the challenge and you did it for 8 or 9 years. Had you ran into CrossFit at any point in that time, or what were you doing to stay in shape through that period?
Yeah. So I was, when I first got on the show, I had just graduated from college and I started working out with a trainer in New Jersey. His name was Jeff Vittori, and he was super into, everything and anything. he really opened my eyes up and was one of the people who started to get me to fall in love with training. You know, I saw what he was doing. I was paying him as a 21-year-old to train me and teach me all this cool shit. And, you know, at 21 years old, this is, God, almost 20 years ago now. I was doing tire flips and I was using a sledgehammer. Before that, the only time I used a sledgehammer was when my dad wanted us to bust up our driveway and repave our driveway. And now here I am hitting a tire with it and doing box jumps and kettlebell swings. And I did some kettlebell swings in high school and stuff like, and college, you know, for wrestling. I mean, it's like a wrestler's tool. You know, you can do Turkish get-ups with it. We did a lot of that stuff. So I got introduced to a lot of that stuff early on and fell in love with it. And for me, it was always the accountability. Like I wanted to do something that I have to be in shape for. That if I didn't stay in shape, then I was falling behind in whatever my career was. So being on television, I had to stay in shape. I had to get stronger. I was one of the first people to go on the show and like bring gym equipment with me. I would bring like jump ropes and bands and sliders and all this little stupid shit that I could just put in my bag and keep myself active. And then I started working out with Joe DeFranco. And I started to seek out some of these trainers and pick their brain. And I love that. And I started to fall in love with the process of the way I started to feel and get in shape. And then I'm like, oh, all right, well, I could probably do this and help somebody else. So the last, 20 years of my life, but even before that, so I started lifting and working out when I got to high school. And then even beyond that, I started to work out and fall in love with and understand how do you do it and why you would do it. And not only the physical aspect of like trying to teach somebody how to get in shape, but also the mental and emotional side of it as well. So for me, it was a very cool journey and I enjoyed every minute of it. And the only thing I regret is I just wish I would have done more. But again, now it's so accessible, right? Like I didn't know about you guys back then. I remember reading an article on Men's Health that Dave was in. This was early on. This has got to be, when was the first article you did, Dave? Probably 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah, maybe around 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Around then.
And
Actually, no, 2008. 2008.
Yeah. And then when I met you, I was like, oh my God, I remember seeing this article. And then I posted on Instagram after we had both started work, when I started working at Solace and stuff, that I was like, I remember reading and, learning from this guy and being like, yo, one day I want to be in Men's Health like this guy, because I read he was from Jersey and he's an Olympian. I was like, who's this fucking guy? I don't even know who he is. I know everybody in Jersey. So, you start to look around, you start to idolize people. And that's what I think is missing right now is there are people I look up to still, even as somebody who's been doing this for 10, 15 years. I still look up to, Joe and you and Jay Ferrugian, a lot of these guys. Like I want to learn more. I'm still going through educational stuff. I have 3 tests that I want to take in the next couple of months to advance and to become better and to learn more. And it's not even just learning the actual science and the practice, but it's also the way someone delivers the information, right? So you could hear the same thing 15 times, but if you hear it from the right person, the right way, with the right intentions, then you absorb it a different way. Now you're like, oh my God. I tell people all the time, I've taken your handstand workshops 50 times, right? Every time you've done it at Solace, I took it. You did it at Clue, I took it. I took your class. I went to Power Monkey. I take your class. And every time I pick up something new, right? Every time it's your delivery. It's the way you do things. So for me to constantly be a student of the game is awesome for me. And it's a field that I could constantly progress in and get better in. And like anything else, it's like a performance. Now, if you ask me, I like television better than I like theater, but I think theater allows people to have good shows and bad shows. There's always something that you could tighten up. You'll never have the perfect show. And if you do, then you're playing the wrong game. So you should always be like, okay, I could tighten that up. I could play a different song. I could approach the class a different way. I could get people excited a different way. And I think you guys do that really well. Just the way you constantly break down camp. It's like you're delivering the same material. You got the same guys teaching the same stuff. But each time I go, I take something a little different and absorb something a little different.
Yeah, I find that to be just like super interesting. And that's actually one of the reasons why I've always appreciated the way that you coach, the way that you train. Out of everybody that I've come across over all the years doing this and all the events that we put on, Kenny, you seem to have the most like desire to learn. I don't know anybody that has as many certifications and goes to as many clinics and goes to as many weekend things to go and learn how to do a particular movement more than you. And I think one, it's a testament to, like you said, you're continuously wanting to be a student and learn from the best and figure out different methods to approach certain things. But were you always this way, or is it fitness that kind of brings this out of you, this wanting to be the best at fitness and searching out of some of the top minds? And I'm just kind of curious if you found it useful and if there's anything that you would pass on to other people in terms of, how important it is to constantly be a student and not always feeling like you've mastered anything. And I just love that mentality. And I kind of see that in you, having worked with you for so long.
Yeah, for sure. I was a terrible student in school. I hated school. I was never really good at it. I hated going. When it came to work, I was a terrible employee. I was never good at work. Like there was a time when, right when I started college, my dad and my uncle got me a job down at the port, working at the port. And everybody who works down there, just as well as I do, everybody's like, oh my God, this is the best job. You got benefits, a pension. I didn't even fill out a fucking application for the job, right? And you're working down there and you can make all types of crazy money. There are guys who make $400,000 or $500,000 a year there doing really nothing. But I wasn't satisfied. I felt like I needed to do more. Like I wanted to engage with people. That I just showed up and I got a paycheck, right? I could sleep all fucking day at the job. And I was like, this is not what I wanted. I wanted to do more. And I remember sitting on the dock in New Jersey, in Newark, and looking at New York. And I'm like, I need to be there. That's where I need to go. And when I discovered fitness, I'm like, it was just something, there's just something in me. I don't mind spending the money to go. Like last year alone, I went out to my buddy Luca's gym up in Seattle. I went to Summer Strong for the second time or third time. I went to Power Monkey Camp for the third time. And I don't think twice about spending money. Like I'm always hesitant to spend money on stupid, different stuff. And I'm like, fuck, I got to go because it's the network of people I want to be in. It's the people I want to be around. It's the arena that I love to thrive in. And yeah, I don't know what it is. And I think it's a blessing, right? There are certain people who love to make money. There are people who love to, I always say there's two types of people in the world. There's people who are driven by money and people who are driven by relationships. And I'm one of these people who loves to be around other people who are excited about the same shit I am. And, when I go to these events and do these certain things, I get to meet other people who love the same stuff. What I loved about CrossFit was that I walked into a room. I'm not like a CrossFit athlete. I can't go into a room. I'm not like you guys. I'm sure there have been nights and days in your lives to become the athletes that you guys were, where you could go into a room and you could just fucking work on your skill. When I hear about Kobe Bryant, who used to like show up 4 or 5 hours early for a game and just shoot around for hours, I don't have that. I've never looked at myself as an athlete, but I'll spend the extra time learning. I'll sit up here at night. I'll watch different videos on the way somebody teaches a kettlebell swing. Even though I know how to do it, I want to hear somebody else teach about it. I'll stay up at night studying and reading about nutrition. Just in quarantine alone, I got my Prescript certification, which is the Muscle Doc certification. I got my Precision Nutrition. I re-upped my NASM. I got, what else did I get? I got something else. I got like you said, I got 100 different ones. So for me, it's just that the gift that I want to learn more and I drive to do that. And there are people who do that with everything. People are like, why don't you start a blog? Because it doesn't come natural to me. If you gravitate, as cliche and stupid as it is, if you just go and do the shit you want to do on a daily basis and follow that, that's more likely to be successful for you than you going and seeing what you do, right? If I followed you guys, I'm like, oh, if I train hard enough, I could be an Olympian. That's not me. It just doesn't come natural to me. But what comes natural to me is wanting to be around people like you guys, go to the events, learn from people, engage with those people. That's what comes natural to me. And that's where I found that I've thrived a lot.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Kenny, for sure. And I wonder, with all these different seminars and courses that you've taken, and this might be a tough question, but is there any one thing that you can point to that was most important for you as a coach? And that could be a particular movement, it could be a method, certain teaching style or cues, or any one thing that you can pinpoint.
Yeah, right now I'm in the midst of, I don't read a lot of books, but I listen to a lot of books. And I'm listening to Brett Bartholomew's Conscious Coaching. And a lot of that, what he says in the book, has been a lot of stuff that I've kind of naturally done. When I first started coaching at teaching at Equinox, so I did group fitness at Equinox. I did personal training over there. Even then, I was like, all right, I'm going to get a kettlebell cert, pre and postnatal cert, all this stuff that they were pushing through their education system. I did a lot of that, but what I started to learn, and he talks about a lot in the book, is treating people like people, right? The personal training side of training is that engagement with other people, how you connect to other people. And when I am spending an hour with you or with a group of people, I want that engagement, right? Some of the smartest guys I know, and some of the smartest coaches at Solace, I should say. I mean, I would even call them out, Dariel and Hayden, right? Two guys who have a lot of knowledge. They know a lot of things. They have doctorates and they went to school for it and all this stuff. But their engagement with people is shit, piss poor, right? Everybody's like, I think they hate me. I think they hate me. I was like, no, they just don't have the personality for, this type of work. They love what they do. They're good at it. But at the same time, the personal side of it, the connection, is what they lack, and I don't think you could teach that. And I think that's what separates a good coach from a great coach. The person who's willing to invest themselves in their client, whether you're teaching a little kid, so I started coaching a bunch of these little kids on like a bunch of wrestlers. A buddy of mine owns a wrestling school in Jersey, and I've been coaching all these little kids, and they've been reaching out to me. They're like anywhere from 6 to 16, and they're like, well, what should I? And it's cool to me because they're like interested in nutrition, interested in getting stronger and faster and all these things. And I get to work with these little guys, and it's awesome. And then, my average everyday client is somewhere who's a woman, 25 to 45. That's my average client. And then I worked with my mom and a bunch of older clients that I have at, between Solace and doing personal training and stuff. So it runs a gamut of people that I love to train. But I think the connection for me is super important because it makes me want to do the best job I possibly can to make sure they're safe. Anybody who it is. And this is one of the points I made the other day about the whole Black Lives Matter situation going on. I've never treated anybody differently because of color, race, age, background, size, whatever it may be. I always want to give them the best version of me, because if I'm delivering the best possible product to them, then I've helped them. Then I've given my gift. The whole idea behind Strong is like everyone has a gift. If you give that gift to everyone you meet, then you're going to be successful and you're going to enrich their lives. And now you've done something, whether it's the way you sell a car. Like I've been sold cars or programs or whatever it is. But when I know somebody gives a fuck about what they're handing me, that they're like, here, this is my life's work and I want you to have it and I want you to enjoy it. You feel that. You feel it. There's no denying that person gives a fuck. And if you care about what you're delivering to somebody else, then there's no doubt about it that you're going to be successful. Even if you're a wheeler and dealer, some of these guys who are like, could sell you anything. You could tell the passion they have behind it. That there's something about it that they feel so connected to, and they're giving you this gift. It to me, that's the most important thing. And I think hearing that in his book or listening to him talk about that, and then always doing that myself, just feeling it in my heart that I'm like, all right, I need to give this person. I can't tell somebody to go run a marathon when having never done it myself, right? I don't know what it feels like at mile 14 or 15, but I'm going to go tell somebody else to do it. It's like, no, I have to be the test dummy. And now after being the test dummy and trying it myself and doing it myself, I'm like, here, this is it. This is the key to success, and I want you to have it. And I want to see you do well. And I think when you want to see people do well, and I notice it in you guys, you guys sit around, you don't have to do all the extra shit you guys do at camp. You know that, I know that, right? But you guys sit up late at night with everybody and tell stories, and you guys go the extra mile and make sure everybody feels at home. That stuff people feel, and that's what carries over it and makes everyone feel like they're a part of that family. And that's more important than the handstands or the cleans. Yeah, everybody's there for that, but that comes secondary to feeling like they're a part of what you guys have created.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, Kenny. And I think that's one of the things that stands out about you as a coach and as a trainer. And, having been at Solace all those years and watching you, lead a room and command a room, it's because of the passion that you have for this craft of teaching and the idea of trying to make the person that you're working with the best version of themselves. You mentioned a little bit, just kind of in passing there, strong, but I don't really know if our listeners know what strong is. Can you go into a little bit of what you've done with strong? And also, if you could tilt up your camera just a tiny bit so we see your face a little bit more.
Sure.
Perfect.
Yeah. So with strong, a couple of years ago, a bunch of guys I worked with at Reebok, I was with Reebok for several years, and they were like, hey, we want to do something. This is 4 or 5 years ago now. They were like, hey, we want to do an event or something. I was like, all right, I've been working on this event because I go to a lot of these events. And I was like, I've been to the New York City Coffee Festival, New York City Comic Con, New York City fashion show. Like, they have all this shit. Like, New York sets a trend for everything else. And I was like, we don't have a fitness event. So I was like, why don't we start to cultivate this fitness event, pulling in the best of the best to come in and teach and make it like a convention, but have a real meaning behind it, right? I wanted to do some sort of charitable aspect to it. So it had some deeper meaning. And when you tie fitness to it, and you get people stronger, then you're cultivating this whole new world. I wanted it to feel like everybody belonged and everybody could come there and be successful and learn something. And, the brands that I worked with are now introduced to a new clientele, and the clientele now has access to these great brands and these great teachers. And, the relationships that have started since I started Strong have been unbelievable. Like, you see little connections, and people who took different people's classes or you didn't even know they met at the event are now like super close. I'm like, you guys would have never met had you have not, come to Strong and stuff. So over the past 5 years, the first event was 60 people in the basement of Solace, to the last event that we had on the pier in Pier 94 was almost 500. We're a little shy of 500 people. So for me, that it's been super cool to grow this brand. But I wanted it to be a showcase of the people that I believe are the best in fitness, not some Instagram girl with her ass out. It's like an Olympian and, a trainer to NFL athletes and these people who really had a message. So over the past 5 years, I've developed this New York City-based event where we, like I said, it's the people I've been lucky enough to learn from and meet and even reach out to on social media and get them all in one room and get them talking, because the doctors that I've had speak at Strong are saying the same things you guys are, and the nutritionists at Strong are saying the same things you guys are, and that are saying the same thing as the doctors. So I'm like, all right, I'm telling you, you're going to be the best when you're the strongest, or you're going to be the best when you're the healthiest. Here's a doctor, a nutritionist, an Olympic athlete, and a trainer who are all saying the same thing. So if you don't believe me, here's 5 other people that are saying the same thing, right? And when you hear people speak on a panel and agree on the same things, it might be click, right? So if I help one person or 101 people, then great. That's awesome. That's all I wanted to do. And it's slowly, like anything, you guys know, it's like, it took you a while to get camp to, what it is today. So it takes a while to cultivate that, and you got to be in it for the long haul. I didn't do it. I haven't made $1 off it, but I didn't do it to make money. I did it because I was like, here's this unbelievable opportunity that I have, that I know all these great people who have this great message, and I want to give it to the city I love.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's, doesn't that feel very similar, Chad, to why we started camp, right? Like, we have these great minds that we want to bring together and hopefully benefit a community, right? And, we do ours in the middle of Woods, Tennessee, and it has just a very similar kind of feel and reason behind it. So that's why I always kind of was like, I love this idea of strong. It fits in well with the mentality that we have. I'm just kind of curious, what's next for strong? Like, what do you envision, especially with what's going on right now? What do you kind of see
Yeah.
happening with strong moving forward?
So I didn't want it to just be the event, or, because of COVID and everything that's going on in the world, I was like, all right, well, it's going to be hard to get people in the same room. Events are canceled now or like big events are canceled now through next summer, right? So I was like, all right, what else could I do with this brand that I've created and all this traction that we have? So right now I'm doing other things to kind of get people together. So 2 days ago, I started this 30 for 30, and it's an accountability run club. And it's friends of mine, family members, clients, new people on social media. I have 75 people in this running group on the Nike Run Club app, and it's free. And I wanted people to get involved and run 1 mile a day. And you don't even have to run it. You could walk it, you could pull a sled, you could do whatever you want. But I want you to be accountable for that 1 mile a day. So if you sprint it and you're one of the best in the world, it'll take you 5 minutes. And if you crawl it and you're the slowest person in the world, it should still only take you about 15 to 20 minutes. So everybody could do this on a daily basis. Everybody's capable of putting in that 1 mile, right? Even if it's your walk to work, whatever it is, at least you've done that 1 mile. And it's that accountability of like, okay, I treat fitness the same way I treat brushing my teeth or like eating well. You should do it on a daily basis. Everybody could do that, and it'll keep everybody accountable, and kind of build that community a little bit. And then from there, I'm going to start to build upon that. But getting everybody in the same room who's interested, and whether you're the best athlete in the world, and I have people who already ran in 3 days, they've ran like 10, 15 miles, and then I have people who just did 3 miles. So that's great. So now I have these top athletes who are at the top of the leaderboard, but then I have all these people who've never even ran a mile before. They've walked it, but great. That's awesome. But there's a parallel there, right? There's synergy between these two people, because this person at the bottom is looking at this person at the top being like, okay, well, now I just did 3. He only did 15. I could probably get there, right? If I just put in the work. And this person's like, wow, I might inspire somebody else to do something that they never thought they could do. So kind of merging the community. I'm doing a lot with the kind of the lifestyle stuff. I want to, I got a couple people coming with me today. I bought this. I bought 2 cans of this, right?
What is it?
It's graffiti remover.
Yeah.
So I want to go around the city and just help clean up and kind of spread some good stuff. I mean, I know there's people who are already shitting on people who are cleaning up. They're like, you should leave it up. It's like, no one likes graffiti. If it looks cool, if it's great artwork, sure, let's leave it up. But if it's like, fuck the police on the wall, it's like somebody else's building, like somebody owns that. Why are you ruining somebody else's property? So I want to do like just little stuff. We've donated a shit ton to the frontline workers over the past couple of months. We've done some little stuff. Working with some of the brands that I work with. I want to deliver some kettlebells and some stuff just to get people moving. People who don't have access to gyms or they can't afford a gym. I'm putting together this little group, a list of people, and I'm going to go deliver bands and bells and stuff like that to people and get them moving. And now they could do like Zoom workouts with me for free and shit like that. So just trying to encourage more people to work out and kind of experience what it feels like to feel good, right? No one finishes a workout and goes, shit, I shouldn't have done that, right? So everybody should be entitled to feel really good. So
I don't know. Dave made me do a workout the other day that had 2 rounds of 78 setups inside of there somewhere, and I think I regretted that one. But you talk about this, and by the way, Kenny, along those lines, you absolutely lost me when you said run 1 mile. I didn't hear anything you said after that. But with that app, are you talking about you have currently 75 people? They're kind of spread out through the U.S., or where is that?
Yeah, so they're all over the place. I mean, a lot of them are obviously here. A lot of them are my clients and stuff here in New York. But there's, I got a couple of people from California. I know there's 2 girls in Texas. There's a guy in Florida. They're all over. So anybody could join it, and it's just the accountability, and it's kind of building that community. It's people who are like, oh yeah, I'm up for a challenge, or I could do that. A couple of months ago, I did the 40 push-ups. It wasn't about the 40 push-ups. It's the accountability of like, all right, I need to do something that makes me feel good on a daily basis.
Yeah, for sure. And I kind of wanted to bring things back to to New York, we've talked a lot about New York. Of course, you're in New York City, and Dave, you've lived there for a while. Maybe this is a good question for you. I wonder if you guys feel, and because you guys have been out around to many other places, and Dave, throughout the world, do you feel like there's a difference in fitness between New York City and any other place? And I'm not sure what I'm getting at or what I'm asking, but from the outside looking in, I feel like there is something that I can't grab a hold of. Do you guys see that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Dave, you could speak about this, but I think there's a very tight knit community here of people who love fitness, and it's different because in New York, all the news outlets are here, or in the magazines. It's like Men's Health is here, and Women's Health is here, and Oxygen, and all these tech companies and stuff are here. So there's more access. So the trainers here are looked at as the best of the best. So it's definitely a melting pot, in my opinion, of trainers and gyms, and there's so many people here. Of course, there's going to be a ton of shit.
Yeah, I agree, Ken. I think, New York, just like you mentioned, when it comes to fashion or when it comes to any industry, New York is kind of the hub. And I noticed that with fitness as well. I've lived quite a number of places: Colorado, California. I lived in Europe. I've lived a lot of different places, and New York is just unique when it comes to innovation. And even though New York is a lot of indoors, it's not LA where you can do a lot of things outdoors, and fitness has a different feel and look to it. I still always looked at New York as kind of the hub for what's new and what's relevant and what's going to be next when it comes to any industry. And I think this kind of leads to a little bit to my next question for you. I'm kind of curious what you envision fitness looking like come post-COVID. And if New York, obviously New York has been hit hardest when it comes to number of cases, and with everyone living on top of each other, I envision things possibly being a little bit different when it comes to big group classes and everything like that, and maybe people being scared about wanting to be in that type of environment. From your perspective as a trainer, how do you envision kind of things changing, or is that kind of still nebulous and we just don't know yet?
Yeah, I don't think we know yet. I don't think there's a set date yet as to when New York's going to open up. But right now, I think as of a week ago or 2 weeks ago, things will be really different. I don't think you're going to be able to cram as many people in. And then at that point, the economics of a gym don't make sense, right? SoulCycle is built on the fact that they could squeeze 60 people into a room meant for 5, right? Mm-hmm. A 20 by 20 room, you got 60 people on top of each other. Solace worked because we had 30 people upstairs, 30 people downstairs, 30 people in that side room, that the rent is $40,000. How do you make $40,000 worth of revenue when you could only fit 10 people in a room? You can't. It's not going to happen. So I think there's going to be a lot of gyms that, quite frankly, aren't going to make it. I know ICE just shut down. I know there's a gym in New Jersey that, what is it called? Black House, they just shut down. There's going to be a lot of gyms that close. I mean, obviously, you're going to have survival of the fittest, people who are innovative, doing the online stuff, who have deep pockets. Those are the ones that are going to survive. But where fitness in New York goes next, only God knows that answer. So,
do you think that the digital side of things is going to be? Is it kind of a stopgap right now? Because I mean, from your perspective, and I think you would agree with this, is that you work best when you're interacting with someone in person. Mm-hmm. And your best way, your best method of getting that person to be the best version of themselves is, being able to actually see them sweat and see them do the exercise that you're kind of throwing at them. Does that change doing things digitally? And do you envision the digital side just being a necessity in terms of sustaining a fitness lifestyle, as opposed to, trying to pick up one-time clients here and there and trying to do something, around the clock with less clients?
Yeah, I think it definitely adds a different dynamic to things. I think people keep it in the routine. They'll keep the online stuff in a routine, but I still think there's a need and a want for people to be in person. So you're going to see people do a combination of things, right? Like, they're more educated. The consumer's more educated. So now they could do a day on their own, a day with a trainer, a day in a gym, and then a day online, right? So I think there's going to be more of people kind of picking and choosing where they want to go and what they want to do next. And like, I mean, fitness has always been like this. Everything comes full circle, right? Like I've only been through quarantine and through a lot of the stuff. I've been doing a lot of gymnastic stuff. I've been doing a lot of running and a lot of bodybuilding. I really haven't been doing a ton of CrossFit. And I started doing bodybuilding, and then I started doing strength and conditioning, and then I did CrossFit, and then I came back to bodybuilding, and then I did some powerlifting. So it's like there's so much shit you can do and so much stuff you could focus on, and that circle just keeps going round and round. And I think everybody wants to do it as a lifelong journey. You start working out and you know what it feels like, and you want to continue that. So you're going to seek out different things that make sense to you. Somebody who just cycles or somebody who just does running, I don't think that's going to be sustainable over time. Or somebody who just works out in a gym. You got to get creative, and you got to think of different ways to get that, high from running or working out or whatever it may be.
Yeah, Kenny, for you, as we're talking about you want to be up in front of people and coaching a class. Mm-hmm. What if it's a while before you can do that? Or what if you can't really do that in the same way that you were able to before? What will you do? Will you look to start doing some online stuff, or is there a different route that you can go?
Yeah, so I've been doing online classes on Tuesdays and Thursday nights, which have been pretty cool. I'll get like 30 people in a class. And I train a lot of people in the park, and I train people at their apartments and things like that. So I've been getting creative since this all happened. I need that and they need it. So you'll figure out how to make it work. And I think anybody who's hungry and loves what they do and wants to continue doing this, you'll find a way and make a way to make it happen.
Yeah, when you were talking about the park earlier, it sounded like that's something that will probably continue either way for you. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure. I love it. I think there's something to be said about working out outside and being outside and, soaking in that vitamin D and being around other people. It just feels good. And, today I had a couple of people in the park. I had 2 groups of 10 in the park this morning, and people were loving it. And they're like, God, I needed that today. So when you're stressed out, a good way to clear your head is getting a good workout in.
Yeah. What are you guys doing?
Go ahead.
I was just wondering what you guys are doing out there. Just a bunch of burpees and air squats. What else you got going?
No. I have a barbell. I have almost a full set of kettlebells. I got a battle rope. I got some sandbags, all packed in a buddy of mine. I'm borrowing his car for the month. I got it all packed in the back of the car, and just put everybody through workouts. I got 2 weight vests. I got a couple jump ropes. So sky's the limit. A couple wall balls. Nice. So, yeah.
Awesome.
So Kenny, I'm curious. 5 years from now, what would you hope the fitness landscape look like for you and for New York and kind of where you're at? Do you envision yourself still being in New York 5 years from now? And what would your hope be for kind of your lifestyle as a fitness instructor?
I mean, listen, there are so many people, and I've talked about this all the time, when people are like, I don't want to be on the floor in 5 years. I don't want to be teaching class in 5 years. I do. I definitely do. I want to continue teaching. I want to be in front of people. I want to continue training people. Hopefully I'll be at a point where it's like, I'm doing it for a premium. And because I make so much off that, I could do it for free as well. I'd love to I've always had an idea of opening up a gym that if you're serious, you could come for free. Like if you really want to learn, you could come for free. But if you're one of these people that comes every once in a while and treats it like some fucking neighborhood bar where it's like you stop in there, on Saturday nights for a drink, that's it. No, it's like you're going to be there all the time, and we're going to get you better, and we're going to cultivate skills within you and, train your mind as well as your body. Then that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to have a gym where I could have kids in there, families. Like, to me, that's what I love. I love being able to train everybody and anybody.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting piece, because we always try to seek out gyms wherever we go where we can do it as a family too. Now with, a 3.5-year-old and another little baby, and us feeling like, you go into certain gyms and there can be an intimidation factor. And you know what I mean? If you feel like you walk into the gym and, even I've walked into certain gyms and felt like, oh man, I feel like I shouldn't touch equipment, or like need to go ask people to, gym should be inviting. A gym should be welcoming. A gym should be a place where someone walks in to say, you know what, I found a home here. And to be able to do that and say, families are welcome and that stuff, I think for us at least, with what we have going on with our family, it just makes it so much better to be able to say, okay, we feel comfortable here. This is a place I know 5-10 years from now that I'll be continuing to come to.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's like, I'd love to have something where it's like, yeah, there's an adult only hour where you could blast fucking rude music and stuff. But then at the same time, it's like, there's hours where you could be there with your kids and you could teach them tumbling and, get them doing stuff that they should be doing at a young age. For me, that would be ideal. And it's, having 2 or 3 locations would be great. I just don't want to take care of all the bills and all that bullshit. I just want to teach class.
For sure.
Mm.
So Kenny, one of your big sayings is no bullshit. And I'm kind of curious where you came up with that. What do you intend to kind of get through with people with that when you're teaching your classes?
Teaching class, you learn a lot about yourself and about other people. And I always say the key ingredient to a workout is the level of effort you put in, the level of intensity you put in there, the level of want you put in there. And there's a lot of people who are like, I'm trying. I'm like, no, you're not. You're bullshitting, right? Or, hey, I'm trying to get to the gym, or I'm trying to get in shape. I'm like, no, you're not. You're bullshitting, right? When you give up the bullshit, when you stop giving the excuses, when you stop saying you have no time, when you say like you can't, when you're like, well, I can't do this, that hurts my back, or I can't do this, you either find a way or make a way. And when you cut bullshit out of your life and out of your mentality, then there is only a straightaway ahead of you, right? Like there's this highway and you could just go straight for it. And you'll dip off every once in a while. Not every day is going to be your best day. But at the same time, when you start giving yourself excuses and you start taking accountability for who you are and what you've done and what lies ahead of you, then you're now in such a better headspace, and your life has to be free of bullshit at that point. There's going to be bullshit. You're going to have struggles and you're going to have pain and stuff. But when you stop looking at them like a crutch, like, oh, poor fucking me, I had this happen. Poor me, I can't do this. When that's all gone and you're like, it's just a hurdle, or it's just a heavy barbell, or it's just, another roll or a flip you have to accomplish. When you start to look at it as like an obstacle that you have to overcome, or it's just another burpee, then you're going to be so much better off in life. Love
that mentality.
Yeah, I think that's kind of one of those things that comes very easily and natural to, high level athletes. I can remember, as you were talking through that, Kenny, I can remember many instances in my training where like there was no way I wasn't going to work out. It just wasn't an option. Yeah. It didn't matter if I was tired. That didn't even cross my mind. If my back hurt so bad, and this wasn't very often, don't get me wrong, I stayed luckily relatively healthy through my whole career, but there was a phase where I couldn't even hold an empty bar in my on my shoulders in my back rack position to do back squats. An empty bar, very light for me, because it would jam my back up so bad, and my body wouldn't hold it up. But guess what? I was in there working out. I could do something. I could keep moving, which I knew would help me heal up faster, and not only that, but keep me, mentally more stable and happy.
For sure. Yeah. I think when people give up on themselves, that becomes a slow decline,
Yep.
Yeah. I think people kind of recognize until you do it regularly how important, not only in the physical side, but working out every day, how much of an impact it has on your mental health too. I notice it for myself. Like I can walk around sluggish all day. I get a workout in and I'm like a completely different person. Yeah. And, I might not have any energy left, but my mind is working at a completely different level. So the things that changes inside of you kind of go well beyond just the physical side. Kenny, we're kind of coming towards the end here, and we normally like to finish up with a couple of questions and a couple kind of quick things. But the first one is a simple one, and I hope you're going to answer it in the direction that I'm on the Jersey side here.
Wow.
But
my, hey, come on now, you can't be swaying them your way already.
If you had to pick between gymnastics and weightlifting, what would you choose?
Oh God, I'd like to say gymnastics, but I'm so bad at it, and I've been okay with weightlifting. I gravitated towards weightlifting a little bit more. I loved it, but I wish I was better at gymnastics because always look a lot better. You know, you could be a fat weightlifter. You can't be a fat gym.
Yeah.
Chad,
Dave,
you're gonna get that one.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised, and I really don't know what's going on
Jesus.
here, Kenny. This is probably around our 25th recording, and I think seriously, I only have 4 maybe people that have said weightlifting, that they prefer weightlifting. So thank you very much. I'm going to make a
My
comeback.
fellow Jersey
I'm
Italian
going-
let me down over here.
I think there's been a couple in a row, right? I think Pope and now
Yeah.
Kenny, 2 in a row.
Yeah.
So, Power Monkey podcast listeners, I'm making a comeback for sure. We also want to play a game with you here real quick, Kenny, if you're up for it.
Sure.
Rapid fire
let's
questions. I'll ask as many questions as I can in 1 minute, and I'll start a clock here. If there's one that you don't like, a rule that I love is that you get to pass to Dave and he has to answer. All right.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Okay, cool. You ready?
Yep.
All right. We're on the clock. What is the strangest thing you've ever eaten?
Durian. It's a fruit from Thailand. It's horrible. The most disgusting thing I've ever eaten.
Where's it from?
I mean, I had it in Thailand. But I think
Chad, we had a version of it. We were in Malaysia together. Remember?
Oh,
they
we
gave
did?
us some after the. Yeah,
It's like
Chad
a
and I
white
had some.
cream.
We were in Malaysia together. We were in Kuala Lumpur. We had some.
Maybe I blocked. I blocked that out. I don't know. I don't remember. Sounds like I'm glad that I don't remember. What's the first thing you do when you get up in the morning?
Chug a glass of water.
All right. What's your favorite movie quote?
Wasted talent from A Bronx Tale.
Nice.
The worst thing in life you could be is a wasted talent.
Oh man, that's a good one. I need to watch that movie. It's been too long. Are you a morning or a night person?
I'm a night owl for sure. I wish I was a morning person, but I'm more of a night owl.
Yeah, because you have to get up early a lot, right, to go coach?
Every day.
So what do you get, like average 4 or 5 hours of sleep every night?
Yeah, that's a good number. Sometimes 3.
You're going to have to listen to a couple of our podcasts where we talk so much about sleep, Kenny. We need to improve that for you.
But I trust me. I'm all ears when it comes to like learning how to sleep better and the importance of it. I understand the importance of it. I just don't do it as much.
Yeah, no, dude, I'm with you. I'm a night owl as well. It's been a never-ending battle through my life to try to figure out how to be able to go to bed earlier. I guess I'm just going to have to get me some of those blue glasses. That's the blue light glasses. That's the big thing, right? I need to give that a try for sure. Kenny, man, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I wish we got to hang out a little bit more. Do you have any parting words for the listeners?
No, anybody who's listening are probably fans of you guys already. And, like I said before, when I taught the class, you guys anybody listening to this, you're in great hands with these guys. These are some of the best guys I've ever got to meet. I've been in this world for almost 20 years, I'd like to say. And, you guys are hands down top 5 for sure. So thank you guys for treating me like family and doing all the right things for everybody. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, same out there, man. We appreciate the time and the effort and, doing what you're doing for the New York community when things are going a little crazy right now. So we appreciate taking the time and jumping on with us.
Thank you, guys. I'll see you guys soon. Stay safe.
Sounds good. And for our listeners, that we always greatly appreciate you listening in. Be sure to head over to PowerMonkeyFitness.com for services and upcoming events. Check out our Instagram pages as well for regular teaching and technical content at Power Monkey Fitness, also at Dave Durante and at Ollie Chad. On behalf of Power Monkey Fitness, we're your host. I'm Chad Vaughn with Dave Durante. And until next time, thank you all for listening.